and welcome to this masterclass all about how to become a YouTuber. So I started on the YouTube platform about 2 years ago, and although I have absolutely loved my journey, there were so many questions that I needed answered when I started. So I really want to be that big sister to you to help you on your way if YouTube is something that you're interested in pursuing. There are a lot of questions that come up. I get a lot of stuff asked to me on my YouTube channel and in my personal life. And it's all the things we all need to know. It's things like setting up your channel, how do you become monetized, what are some of the considerations to think about, and so much more. If we haven't met, hello, it's a pleasure to have you here. My name is Megs and I'm a YouTuber and a course creator. So I can't wait to have you guys stick around for the next hour or so that we can really deep dive into all the things to consider when you're going about starting a YouTube channel. So this masterclass is going to be structured around 8 or so frequently asked questions. The first of which is, what do I name my channel? The second is, what topics should I be making videos about? The third is around equipment and setup. What on earth do I need to get started? The fourth is about confidence and discipline and the softer skills that you really need to embody when you are going on this journey. The fifth is frequency and posting. The sixth is how to set your channel up for success. The seventh is YouTube monetization and how do I actually make money. And the eighth is, what are your top tips or hacks when it comes to starting a YouTube channel? So in terms of your assignment for this masterclass, I would really love for you guys to film, edit, and upload your very first YouTube video. And it might feel like I'm asking a lot from you, but I really believe in you and I know that you can do this. And at the end of this masterclass, I'm hoping that you will have some of the essential skills that you really need to make this task feel just that little bit less daunting. Just before we get started answering your 8 biggest asked questions, I just want to share a little bit about my journey with you guys so that you can understand how I experienced YouTube and how I really got into it. So I am a digital marketing strategist by profession. That is all I've done for the last 10 years. And if you see my YouTube channel or my Skillshare kind of platform, you'll know that that's pretty much all I focus on. My niche is really digital marketing, and that's where I am happiest. So I found myself, I guess about 2-3 years ago, wondering to myself, how do I really scale my profession? And there are a lot of professions where this is the case. It's an labor-intensive profession, and you start to question how you're going to get out of this cycle of working for every kind of hour and yeah, just being paid for your time. So the thing with digital strategy is, of course, that a lot of them are very complex, bespoke strategies that you're developing on behalf of clients. So I've worked for huge agencies with a worldwide footprint and absolutely insane clients. And I knew from that experience that those strategies were complex, they were very bespoke, and they were very time intensive to create and curate. It involved working with a big team and was just a very hands-on kind of exercise. And so I started to think to myself, gee, you know, I work in digital marketing, and one of the main things that we teach is scale, because that at the end of the day is one of its biggest benefits, is the ability to scale things. Online, honestly, your audience is so much bigger than what it is in real life, and it's one of the best things about digital. But the parody or paradox is that I was in this profession where I couldn't scale what I was doing, and it really caused me kind of concern for the future because I knew that I would be working for every cent of money that I made. So cue this crazy idea to start a YouTube channel. And initially it started as creating video content for a self-hosted platform. But because that was pay-gated, I started to realize that people really needed to see the quality of my videos in order to want to purchase from me first. So although it wasn't my initial intention, it kind of morphed quite quickly into a YouTube channel. And so that really segues us beautifully into the first FAQ, which is, what do I name my channel? So when I was asking myself this question, what do I name my channel, I was really perplexed. I will be honest with you guys, because I wanted to make it SEO friendly. So I thought of calling myself something like Digital Marketing Girl or digital marketing strategist, but nothing really felt that catchy or like it was going to stick. So then I started to think of, what is my actual intention? You know, what are people going to get from my platform? And I thought, I really want people just to have the confidence to do digital. So this do digital kind of like echoing in my mind, I thought to myself, like, it's a beautiful business name and it's a beautiful company name, but is that really what I want to name my YouTube channel? And I guess one of the concerns was, if I ever wanted to do lifestyle content or content that wasn't directly related to digital, do digital wasn't really going to serve me. And so the longer I've been on the platform, the more I've watched other YouTube creators complain about this exact same challenge, where anyone who is on YouTube will tell you to niche down. But in the beginning, it's quite difficult to niche down when you don't know A, what you're going to enjoy making videos about, and B, what's going to perform well. So I went with the safest bet I could think of, and I called my YouTube channel Meg's Hollis. So I know it sounds silly, but your name is one of the most beautiful brands there are out there, because at the end of the day, it's your face that's all over YouTube, unless you choose to kind of do screen recordings, or maybe you have like an illustration channel. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. And so I've seen other creators go from having brand names, and no matter how beautiful the brand name is, you invariably find them pivoting back to their name, because it's adaptable, it's flexible, and ultimately people watch a YouTube channel because of, you guessed it, you. So I'm not saying that everyone's YouTube channel needs to be their name, but if there's any degree of uncertainty in terms of maybe what your topics will be and what you think you might want to make videos about, then I can really recommend doing your name. Not only, as I say, does it give you that flexibility, it's really, really powerful when it comes to personal branding. So I have since had instances where I have been offered jobs, even my current job as a digital marketing manager for a well-known company was as a result of my manager and the people that were hiring me watching my YouTube channel. So I don't want to create that distance between me as a person and my YouTube channel, because ultimately it served me in my career and in many more ways that I could have thought of. Even for things like public speaking opportunities, having a YouTube channel in your name is a really, really cool thing to have. So if you don't want to name the channel in your name, then think of something punchy, think of something adaptable, and think of something that's going to be able to evolve with you. So yes, it would be great to be very specific, but as I say, there is the danger that you might outgrow that at a later point. So something that I couldn't have anticipated, for example, to just kind of echo what I've been saying, is I started making videos about a broad variety of digital marketing topics. I would make videos about Instagram, about Twitter, about LinkedIn. And then one day I made a video about WhatsApp for Business. And I didn't think anything more of it because it was no different from any of my other videos. And guess what? The WhatsApp for Business video is the one that's performed the absolute best on my channel. And so I've created about 5 more WhatsApp for Business videos, and if you look at maybe my top 6 videos, you'll see that they're all WhatsApp for Business focused. But it's such a random topic when you initially think about it that I wouldn't have been able to preempt that that was going to be the case. So in a perfect world, maybe I could have called myself WhatsApp Girl, but ultimately, who knows how long this trend is going to last. And let's say in future, I actually want to make videos about finance. So what I'm trying to say is, firstly, you're really not going to understand what's going to do well. I could never have predicted that WhatsApp for Business would be the most popular topic on my YouTube channel. And secondly, even if you could, you probably wouldn't want to, because let's just say that we're all multifaceted humans and there's a lot more to us. I've even found myself in a position now where I feel like, jeepers, you know, like, can I make any more videos about the self-same topic? So that is really the rationale for why using your own name is often the very best answer. In terms of channel topics, so I've given a little bit away in the previous section when I spoke about the channel topics that I've kind of played with. But my first piece of advice whenever anyone asks me about channel topics in specific is the fact that vlogging, Although it is a very popular means by which to create videos for the YouTube platform, mainly because YouTube really does reward frequent uploads. And if you think about what is easy to upload frequently, it's a video, blog, or diary about your life. So other kind of concept videos can be a little bit more time consuming to film and edit because they are concepts and you need them to be fully fledged and well-rounded. Whereas vlogs, it's literally a day in your life, and so it's a lot easier. However, with vlogging and when you're starting out, people don't know who you are. So if, for example, you have a video uploaded to your platform and it's called Megan's Vlog, the reality is that no one's searching for Megan's Vlog. However, people are searching for how to use WhatsApp for business as an example. And so I'm really going to get the feet or the footfall to my channel. And yes, maybe once people are there, they'll watch a vlog about Megan, but it's quite unlikely until I am well regarded or I have a well established kind of audience that people are going to actually do that. But vlogging aside, I guess my point is really that regardless of what niche you are in, you're going to need a variety of different topics and styles. So you might, for example, want to combine vlogging with sit-down tutorials. You might want to combine sit-down tutorials with action-packed kind of adventure snippets. So it's really important that whatever kind of overarching theme you choose, you can have quite a variety of topics underneath that. So niche down to a degree, but then also give yourself that kind of wiggle room to actually say, okay, this works well, why don't we try this? And oftentimes the topic is not the most important thing. So it's important from a searchability perspective, but in order to get the other metrics right, like watch time and retention rate, in terms of people actually clicking through on your thumbnail, which is a crucial part of obviously getting traffic to your site, then having people watch for a period of time, you don't necessarily have to have the best topic in the world. It just needs to be beautifully done. So there are a lot of tricks around these topics, which I would love to unpack with you guys now. So with the vlogging example, one of the things that a lot of my favorite vloggers will do is they'll do like a little bit of a mosaic mashup collage at the very beginning of their vlog. And it'll take like 2-second snippets of all the highlights of that vlog. But it flashes by quickly enough that it doesn't give anything away. It just makes you want to keep watching. So even if your topic was something a little bit boring, there is a way of editing so that it looks very interesting and then obviously keeping people engaged. So yes, it is a lot about the topic, but topic isn't the be all and end all. The next thing we're going to be talking about is equipment and setup, and this is really important when it comes to YouTube because I think unlike some of the other social media platforms when all you need is a phone, YouTube, although sometimes people will say this about YouTube, it's not really truly the case. And you guys know I'm always going to be brutally honest with you. So yes, of course you can start a YouTube channel with just a phone, that is not a problem. But if you're going to go to a lot of effort to set up your YouTube videos and really take the time to script them and plan them, it's a really horrible feeling. And I've had this feeling before when you look back at your video and you're just unhappy with the quality. So really it's going to come down to you and getting your videos to a production quality that you're happy to spread the news about your YouTube channel. So in order to be successful on YouTube, you really do need to self-promote to some degree and promote your videos on other platforms. And it's difficult to do that if you're not 100% happy with the production quality. So I think it's always a good idea to strike up a balance between what you can afford and what you want to output. And of course, you always want to make the best videos possible, but again, budgets are constrained and YouTube monetization can be a little bit tricky. So don't assume that you're going to make the money back in YouTube ads. I think rather be cautious and just see what you're able to afford within your budget. If you are on a shoestring, I would say that lighting and sound are sometimes more important than the camera itself. So that was really my kind of focus when I started. So one of the first things that I bought was a microphone, and I really felt like that gave me an edge on my videos. When I watched my initial videos and I didn't use a microphone that was external, and I looked at my videos that did, I could just see there was a vast difference. And I think I even came across more confidently because I knew that people would be able to hear me and hear the enunciation of my words, whereas for the first couple videos that just wasn't the case. So definitely I would say that a microphone is really, really a good idea. So I have a Rode microphone that's very popular with YouTubers, and I don't have any complaints. Again, it's nothing fancy. I wouldn't say that it was particularly expensive. It's not top of the range, but it really does do the trick. When it comes to lighting, I have a very DIY setup. So I have a ring light, which I bought, I'm not joking, from a Chinese store down the road, and it works perfectly. I also have a handmade light that my brother made for me that essentially comprises of strip lights that are coated with epoxy glue to kind of set it, and then a dimmer, two dimmers, should I say, the one which controls the brightness and the other which controls the warmth. So you can see that I haven't spent a fortune on my setup, but those are the two things that I think make my videos. Then of course the camera does kind of, let's put it in third place for argument's sake. It is of course important. So you want your videos to be a great quality. Things to look out for are mainly the flippable screen. I really did battle with a previous DSLR that didn't have a flippable screen because you just had no idea what you were filming and what it looked like. So it's nice to be able to frame where you're sitting, take a long hard look at your backdrop and work out if that's going to be distracting in your videos, and it just makes your life a little bit simpler. Number 4, we're going to talk a bit about a tripod. So I didn't even buy a specific tripod for my YouTube videos. I actually had one from when I'd studied photojournalism at my university. So I wasn't going to go and buy a lot for a video tripod. There are of course massive benefits to having a video specific tripod in that video tripods typically go a lot lower on the ground. So they often have those horizontal support beams, which means the camera can go a lot lower. You can get a lot more kind of agile angles, as well as being able to tilt and pan. So that's really the difference between the two, but there is of course a massive price difference too. So I've just stuck it out with my photography tripod. It's a Manfrotto. I would highly suggest Manfrotto as a brand. They're light, they come in a little bag, they're easy to carry around, and I've never had a problem. So I would say that although you don't want to spend a fortune, like a solid brand, bottom of the range is also probably your way to go. But there are other things that of course do affect the quality of your video, chief of which I would say is your lens. So the camera aside, a lens is obviously really important in terms of the style of the videos that you're trying to make. So most cameras come with what they call an 18 to 55mm lens, and this is a really awesome starter lens. So it allows you to zoom in, zoom out, and it gives you quite a big degree of flexibility. So when you're first starting out, I would suggest just sticking with the lens that comes with the camera and seeing if there are limitations that would necessitate you buying a new lens. Otherwise, just sticking with the lens that comes with it. However, for me, because the bulk of my videos are sit-down tutorials, I did a bit of research and found out really great things about a 50mm lens. So the thing about a 50mm lens is it's a fixed length lens, which means it doesn't allow for zoom. So you guys, for example, are about 1.5 meters from me, and I can't come much closer to the camera without, you know, just taking over the screen. But what it is really good for is portrait photography, low light photography. Those are kind of its chief things that it's used for, but it's really, really good quality for these kinds of videos too. So if your videos are similar to mine, I would highly recommend a 50mm lens as an investment, but as I say, it's not completely necessary. If your YouTube channel is about wildlife, then of course throw everything I just said out of the window. You would need a long lens or something that's going to enable you to get really a lot closer to your subjects. But for the purposes of most YouTube videos that I watch, I would say that a 50mm lens or the normal lens that comes with the camera is probably very sufficient. So the next section, we're going to be talking all about confidence and discipline. And I think these are two key traits that any YouTuber has to possess. So confidence really does not come naturally to me, and it definitely didn't come naturally to me when I was starting my YouTube career. So the first couple of uploads, I was paranoid about what were people going to think, what were people going to say, and have people ask, like, who does this girl think she is? Well, of course, that did happen to a small degree, but not nearly the extent that I thought it would happen. So I feel like people will always have something to comment on, but one of my favorite quotes is, people do not think of you as much as you think they do. So in the grander scheme of things, obviously there were a couple like nasty comments here and there, either from strangers or from people that I knew in my real life. But in terms of having a big bearing or impact on my life, you know what? There's bigger fish to fry. And to be honest with you, the joy and happiness that YouTube brings me far outweighs any of those kinds of criticisms. So if you do battle with that, the words of advice that I can give to you is to just try and block it out of your mind, and ultimately just put out a product that you are proud of, because there's nothing worse than thinking like, gee, my YouTube videos aren't great quality. So I think it's just like not giving the haters anything to hate on you about. And you know what? If they do, that's their problem. It's not yours. So there's another quote that says something like, what people think of you is their business. And I think that's pretty apt too. And then in terms of perseverance and discipline, I think this is another trait that is so underrated and so important, not only in YouTube, but in life in general. So there are so many days when I don't feel like filming, I don't feel like seeing people, I don't feel like putting makeup on, my hair is a mess, and that's completely okay. I think you do need to be cautious and balance out something like YouTube with your life in general, and just make sure that it's not putting too much strain on you and compromising your mental health. But in the whole, I think there is a degree of discipline that needs to be had. So we're going to be talking about frequency shortly, but spoiler alert, I mean, you do have to be uploading about once a week for YouTube. And the only way to really get this right is to find a day that works for your schedule, that you know is going to be doable. And I find it quite easy and stress-free to shoot my videos, but I do find editing in a rush is a really unpleasant place to be. So you want to give yourself enough time to actually craft the videos to the point that you're happy with them, and try and set an upload schedule as best as you can and stick to it. So if you say, for example, you're going to be scheduling stuff on a Sunday evening, then make sure that your whole weeks are structured around that. So let's say you have a mental note to yourself to do your filming by Thursday latest, leave Friday and Saturday possibly for editing, and then Sunday is kind of just for upload. You really don't want to be cutting things very fine, especially as you start out, because as I say, editing under pressure is no fun, especially if you're a beginner. So there is a degree of discipline, but you need to make it easy for yourself. And my advice would be just to do things in bite-sized chunks. So don't try and sit down, shoot, edit, and upload a video on the same day, for example. And maybe you can get away with that when you are a little bit more confident, but in the beginning, it's just not realistic. Let's talk about posting and frequency. So as I mentioned previously, once a week is probably the bare minimum that you can get away with in terms of not being punished by the YouTube algorithm. It obviously wants to see that you're a frequent uploader, and so do your fans. So what a lot of people suggest is actually putting your upload schedule in your channel art. So that's kind of the hero banner that appears on YouTube, and saying these are the days in which I upload, because it holds you accountable, and obviously your fans know when to expect a video from you. But I would say in an ideal world, you probably do want to be posting about 2 to 3 times a week. However, it totally depends on the format of your video, how high production the video is, how long the videos take you to produce. So there is no one size fits all approach. But in terms of how you achieve success on YouTube, what almost everyone will say, and the word that they drill into you, is consistency. And that is only possible if your whole kind of calendar, whether that's your work calendar, your personal calendar, it all just kind of meshes together. One thing that I have been trialing more recently, where I used to put my YouTube video ideas on post-it notes and on pieces of paper, what I have now started doing is actually using Trello. So you can actually use the boards to organize yourself. Some people put their whole scripts in the Trello kind of project cards themselves. So it's a great way of kind of keeping everything together, and then obviously being able to refer back at a later point. The one thing I haven't been good at, and I could kick myself for this, is not keeping track of those scripts that I've written and things that I've jotted down for future reference in terms of videos. So I would suggest, if you do like things like Trello or maybe Asana, that it's a good way of just archiving what you've done so that you can always refer back to it. So an example could be that I've made 2 YouTube videos about TikTok, and I would love to make a Skillshare course about it, but to now go and find those scripts is just going to be impossible for me. So it would probably be a case of starting from scratch, which is a bit of a waste of time, which can be a little bit frustrating. So the more organized you can be, the better. The other thing, of course, which helps is good filing and having an external hard drive or 5. Some YouTubers really do show off a very impressive collection of hard drives, and it's for no wonder because obviously video takes up a lot of space. So I edit on a MacBook Pro, and it doesn't have a lot of storage on it at all, so you kind of have to do all of that on a hard drive, but it kind of gives you peace of mind as well, because you can, once that hard drive's full, kind of keep it for safekeeping, and then you don't have to worry about ever losing that footage, which is pretty cool if you think about it. A tip which I read about in the very beginning but never really understood was the fact that you can schedule YouTube videos. And I thought to myself, like, gee, but you're going to be so excited once you finish your YouTube video, you're just going to want to upload it, right? But in fact, obviously, along with that consistency, you do want to be uploading at the same time every week and the same time of day. So it's kind of important just to bear that in mind as well. And what's really helpful for this is, of course, your analytics. So you can access your analytics on the YouTube back end when you log in as a creator. So that's one way of doing it. The tool that I really love is the YouTube Studio app, and I only downloaded this, I'd say, probably a year into my YouTube journey. It's really a nice thing for you to be able to see your stats on the go and check things like revenue once you become monetized. So that is also really, really handy. The other reason why people do schedule their YouTube videos in advance is because if you are monetized, you want to make sure that there's nothing in your content that's going to cause a monetization strike. So that could be things like copyrighted music and so forth. So if you upload the video ahead of time and you schedule it, it's going to tell you if there's issues that are going to compromise not only the monetization of that video, but presumably of the channel as well. So it would be good, obviously, to know that up front. It's less important if you're not monetized, but it really does help you to keep that consistency and make sure that your videos are being published at the exact right time. The other thing when it comes to posting is, of course, you want to promote the video as soon as it goes live. So the best kind of approach is to have the half an hour that after you've posted to just really focus on amplifying your new video on all your platforms. So whether that's your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. Something that is a really good little hack is to also post on Quora. So people will be asking questions relating to your video and you can actually answer them and give a link. However, Quora has gotten quite strict about this. So just be sure that you're posting incredibly relevant content and it's not spammy in any way. The other thing that you can do is I, for example, am part of a WhatsApp group that is a South African YouTubers creator group. And everyone that posts videos will post within the 24 hours of that video going live onto the WhatsApp group, and people are really kind. They'll kind of hop onto your video, like, subscribe, comment, and it really helps to get that initial watch time up, which is so important to the performance of your video. So something that I really love in the YouTube Studio app is the fact that it'll show you in a very clean-cut dashboard your performance of this specific video that you've just uploaded in comparison to the other 9 that you've uploaded previously. So it's kind of like, in the last 10 videos, how is this video doing? And it's really helpful to really gauge where you are comparatively and just gives you kind of like a benchmark. Let's talk about YouTube monetization. This is arguably one of my favorite topics because it's one of the first things that people think about when they think about YouTubers. So I'd say that popular culture has meant that we all think that YouTube is synonymous with making a lot of money and living a lavish lifestyle, and the truth couldn't be further from that. So YouTube, of course, is a means to create and generate revenue, but it is a very small stream of income. So with bigger YouTubers, the ones that you do see living these crazy lavish lifestyles, I mean, of course, they are earning a lot of that money from AdSense, which is the way that YouTube monetizes itself. But there's a lot of other income streams that you probably aren't aware of, like brand deals, merchandise, affiliate links, and much more. So when it comes to the monetization side of things, don't be expecting an enormous paycheck when it really happens. It's more about a long kind of term goal of becoming monetized and then slowly building up your revenue from there. That's not to say, of course, that it's not super exciting when you get your AdSense verification code in the post. I actually recently did a little LinkedIn post about it and I was really chuffed. It really does feel like an amazing accolade, but it's less about the money, if you know what I mean, and it's more about the fact that you are able to earn an income in the future that could build over time, and it really could become a great revenue stream in future. It's not a get rich quick scheme, and it never is going to be, I don't think. To give you guys a clue, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, which, if I can give you a realistic time frame, is probably about 18 months to 2 years on the platform. It took me about 18, I think, and most videos that I watch, it's much of a muchness. It's either 18 or 2 years. So it really is a long-term goal, and you shouldn't get discouraged. You're not doing this to make money quick, or at least I hope you aren't. I think it's more about loving the craft of making videos, enjoying the journey, making mistakes along the way, and just embracing that. And that is honestly my best advice, is the second that you become hung up on what is my paycheck going to be and how am I going to afford my Bentley, I think we've kind of lost the point at that stage. So if I can give you any piece of kind of warning, it's to not expect great things. I will share my earnings in a screenshot so that you can see exactly how much money I've made the last couple of months of having been monetized, but it's really nothing crazy. And fun fact, I've actually made more money on Skillshare in the last, let's say, 3 to 4 months teaching as an instructor than I've made on YouTube for the last 2 years. So there are better ways to earn money if you are teaching, but YouTube is really fantastic in terms of giving you a platform and putting your voice out there. And I'd say that it's second to none for doing that. So if you have a small business and you're really trying to amplify it, this is a really great way of doing it. But is it going to actually be the money spinner? Probably not. However, it may result in you getting really amazing leads for your business, getting a job like I did through the platform, and other opportunities that aren't directly related to AdSense earnings. In terms of top tips when it comes to monetization, a lot of people will encourage you to make videos that are 10 minutes or longer. And this is because the rule used to be that if your video was 10 minutes or longer, you could have multiple mid-stream ads placed in your video. So this is still true to a degree, but the actual time frame is now 8 minutes. So you have to have 8 minutes worth of content in order to place those mid-roll ads throughout your video. But otherwise, you just obviously have a video at the beginning, an ad at the beginning of your video or an ad at the end of your video. So YouTube does place the ads auto-magically, as I like to say, but you can change the placements and change the kinds of ads that you want to see. So I'll include a screenshot to show you all the different ad types and how these kind of look within the platform. But the crux of the matter is that obviously the more ads you place, the more money you'll make, and you have to weigh that up with the frustration that you may cause someone watching your platform that then gets subjected to a lot of ads. In terms of how much money you're going to make, obviously this is a very frequently asked question, and this depends all on a metric called CPM, and that is cost per 1,000 views. It stands for cost per mil. And what this means is it's basically how much is an advertiser willing to pay for a cost per 1,000 views on your platform. And that has a lot of different dependencies, chief of which would be in which country the majority of people watching your platform, aka YouTube, are coming from. So for me, it's a little bit tricky because the bulk of my audience sit in South Africa as well as India, both of which have notoriously low CPMs because our advertisers don't have as much money as, let's say, American advertisers. So because the buying power in America is a lot better, and I guess the e-commerce penetration is also quite a bit better, there the advertisers, it makes complete sense for them to pay top dollar to have their ads viewed, whereas in other countries that might not be the case. So you want to really attract a premium audience in order to make as much as you can on the CPM, but that's not the only factor. Other things will include metrics like whether your retention rate is good, whether people are clicking through on your thumbnail really often. That has a big impact on how often your YouTube feed will actually feature your video, and other things like that. So the other factor which will have a big impact on your CPM will be the industry or the niche in which you are making videos. So if you are making videos in tech and finance, you will probably have a higher CPM than someone who's making videos around, let's say, entertainment. And that's purely because if you are bidding on finance ads as a finance company, you know that that's going to be super relevant, and it's a highly competitive marketplace, so those advertisers are having to pay a lot of money. Whereas in the entertainment sector, for example, it's less obvious as to which advertisers may want to bid on that content, and likely it's a little bit less competitive. So in terms of your CPM, as I say, the two main factors would be where the audience is coming from, as well as which niche you operate. But CPM isn't the only thing to consider. Other things to consider would be the retention rate, so how well you're retaining visitors that actually hit your channel, and your thumbnail click-through rate is absolutely imperative because you need to get people there in the first place. That segues us beautifully into our section about setting up your channel for success, and this is so important. So obviously it is a lot of work to create a YouTube video, and by the way, just a reminder that that's of course the task for this masterclass, is to film, edit and upload a YouTube video. Please guys, I would love to see your work, so be sure to let me know how the project goes and post a link to it, because I will for sure subscribe to you and give you a like. But in terms of other factors that you need to consider, there is actually a lot more to it than the video editing and uploading. So as an example, you really want beautiful channel art, and one of the most amazing tools for this is Canva. I speak about it a lot. I just feel like I'm spreading the gospel when I talk about Canva. It really is an incredible tool. So there is a premium version and then there's a free version. I actually just have the free version and I still find it incredibly useful. The main thing or main difference between the two is if you have the premium version, you can do things like transparent backgrounds, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're editing in a program like iMovie, you can actually do overlays, which is basically a graphic with a transparent background, which you can then overlay onto your YouTube videos, which looks really beautiful. Why would you do this, you ask? Well, iMovie doesn't have very robust titling, and it kind of looks a bit generic when you use the iMovie ones that are built in. So a Canva premium account can help you offset the fact that you're using a free video editing software like iMovie or Windows Media Player. However, the jury is out in terms of what video editing platform is the absolute best, because we all have our different preferences and we all have our different budgets. So I actually still use iMovie. I feel like I probably shouldn't be telling you guys that, because I know there's a lot of like poo-pooing around, oh, well, iMovie's not the best in the biz. But hear me out. I do like to do my rough cut on iMovie and I then import it into Premiere Pro. It's just easier for me, and people would probably say that it's not a very efficient way of editing across two platforms, but I really love it. I find iMovie is very quick and intuitive to learn, and then Premiere Pro is a really lovely tool for things like color grading and adding effects. If you don't have the luxury of paying for a software like Premiere Pro, then iMovie by itself is honestly super sufficient and definitely something you can get started with. If you are asking what many people do ask me, it's how do I actually get my intro and my outro to work? Well, Canva again is a great tool to do this. There's a new functionality which actually allows you to do just that. So I will include some screenshots in terms of what this journey looks like, but basically you can simply create an intro using Canva and export it as an MP4, no problem. In terms of the end cards, I was so confused in the beginning as to what exactly an end card was or how it works. The key thing to remember is it's actually a PNG. It doesn't have to be an MP4. So that just means it's a static image which will be displayed behind what YouTube will allow you to place as an avatar, and either your most recent video, the video that the platform thinks will be best for your viewer, or a specific video possibly that you're trying to promote. So when you actually upload your video, it asks you if you want to have an end card, and if you do, basically it'll just ask you to say at what stage would that avatar appear, which encourages people to subscribe, which is obviously a great thing, and then also obviously watch other videos. So you can not upload an end card, but basically the whole point of an end card is to try and get people to binge watch your content and kind of stay in your realm, as opposed to just clicking away and doing something else after your video ends. Okay guys, I'm so proud of you. We're almost there, and this section is probably going to be my favorite. It's going to be just jam-packed with juicy things which I wanted to know, wanted to ask, and just really didn't know how to approach when I started YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoy this super juicy section of top tips, tricks, and hacks. Okay, so the first thing that I wish I knew was TubeBuddy. So I heard people talking about TubeBuddy a lot on YouTube, but I had no idea what they were talking about. So TubeBuddy is basically a Google plugin that you use on Chrome. And what it does is it gives you an insight into other people's channels. So what you can do is you can go into your favorite content creators' YouTube platform with this plugin installed, and you can see which keywords they are using. So keywords come in when you upload your video and you're trying to tell YouTube, which at the end of the day is a search engine. Don't forget that. That's really key to kind of understanding the platform. And this is going to help you see exactly how they're tagging their content so that the YouTube search engine algorithm can pick up those videos when people search for those sorts of keywords. So I think the character limit's about 500. And what you're going to want to do is put in the most relevant sets of keywords that pertain to your video. But you have to think about it from quite a strategic point of view. So a lot of times when people search for stuff, they will start with the words how to. So you might want to have your keywords how to start a YouTube channel. You might want to have it as how to bake a Lindt chocolate cake. You guys get the picture. So it's really still needs to be quite strategic. You can't just tag it with chocolate cake and hope that that's going to be picked up. You need to be quite specific and also put it in the language that is likely to be used when someone is searching for your channel. So the real benefit of using something like TubeBuddy is to kind of spy, I guess you could say, on your top creators and see how they do it. It's also great to look at other people in your industry and in your niche and do kind of like a competitor analysis, if you will, to see how they're doing it. And it helps to also show you what are some good keywords that you could potentially use. Even with the free version of TubeBuddy, there is a free and a premium one. I just use the free one. You can see all of this information, and you can also easily see a list of your videos on the right hand side, which actually allows you to toggle between your videos and then go back and add keywords that maybe you hadn't thought about, or keywords that they suggest to you. So if you have the premium one, it'll suggest all the keywords at the same time, whereas if you have the free one, it'll suggest 3 good suggestions at a time. But if you have time on your hands, obviously you can keep going back and stress testing this and sense checking it. And this will also be informed obviously by your YouTube analytics, which we've mentioned, as well as your YouTube Studio app. So I wouldn't say use it in isolation, but certainly it's a great tool to have in your arsenal. Something else that I wish I'd known when I started out on YouTube are things called green screens, where you can actually search on YouTube for a green screen for something specific. So I like searching for things like subscribe green screen. And what that'll actually enable you to do is use an MP4 downloader to download a green screen video. And in any platform, including iMovie, which as I've said is not the most sophisticated, you can remove that green screen and then actually have a transparent background, which is so super cool. So you don't have to know Adobe After Effects or any kind of fancy software to actually have these basic animations placed onto your videos. So the third tip is something that may be more applicable to you than it is, for example, to me. But if you are a YouTuber that focuses on fashion and like very in vogue, trendy things, then a lot of people will use what they call aesthetic templates. So if you type in aesthetic intros or aesthetic, you can probably put most things after aesthetic. You get some really like funky on-trend intros, outros, and effects. So things like butterflies and so forth, which you see on a lot of, especially the younger, I would say teeny bopper, meaning no disrespect, but with the younger generation, you do see a lot of this like very kind of groovy stuff, and you wonder how these people are doing it. Actually, they're probably just YouTubing aesthetic templates. Okay, my fourth tip is probably one of my favorites, and that is leaving your YouTube setup. So I know that this is difficult, especially if you live in an apartment, because chances are space is at a premium, but it is nice to have your YouTube set up so that when you want to film weekly, you can just sit down and hit record. So you really want to put as little barricades or kind of obstacles in your way when it comes to shooting each week, because as we've said, we want to do that consistent schedule. And this is one of the ways that really helps us. So in terms of behavioral economics, you hear a lot of this kind of thing where even if it's like, it will take you 10 seconds to take your camera out of the closet and put it on your tripod, I promise you human psychology is so strong that sometimes just that 10 seconds might put you off recording for hours. Another really interesting tip would be to try and hop onto what's trending. So of course you can't always be the first person to post about things, but for example 2021 is coming up, so it may be a good idea to release a YouTube video that says latest in WhatsApp tips 2021, and if you're the first person to use that and you know that people are going to be searching for it within the next couple of months, then you are obviously going to rank really well because you probably have the most views at that point. And the same can be said for something like festive season. If you could, for example, put out a gift guide in October already, then you're really going to garner those views before people start searching for it in December. And that's a great way to get ahead of your competitors. Another really cool tip is playlists. So playlists are just an amazing way to really organize your channel and have it look curated and well put together. So immediately you're not going to have the need for a playlist because you'll probably only have, let's say, 10 or so videos, but it really does help you to structure your videos and have that layout look really great when people log onto your channel. So for example, I think my playlists are called things like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. So depending on what platform you're interested in, you can find them really easily. And a playlist that's also really great to have is your latest uploads or your popular uploads, and have those be like the 2 top playlists that people see, so that they can see, oh my gosh, not only is this person consistent, they have X amount of views on this most popular video, and it really helps to build credibility. Another thing that I've heard is a terrible idea is to hide your subscriber count. So some people do this because they're embarrassed that they don't have loads of subscribers, but apparently the perception from most people is just like, why are you hiding that? You know, I think micro and nano influencers are definitely a kind of uprising movement, and you shouldn't be embarrassed about the fact, even if you only have 100 subscribers. It makes me more likely to subscribe to you and want to support you if I can see that you're a small and struggling YouTube channel. My final top tip is in all your YouTube videos, it's a great idea to remind people to subscribe, like, and comment on your videos. This is going to set you apart when it comes to the YouTube algorithm, so you really want to punt engagement all the time. I would suggest doing this at the beginning of your videos as well as the end. That brings us to the end of this masterclass. I'm so thrilled that you guys joined me for this journey. I hope that you learned a lot. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. I would be so happy to help you out. If you want me to subscribe to your channel, pop the link down below. I would be so happy to, as well as the other students on this course. Let's all really band together and support small YouTubers who are trying to make a difference. So whether you're using YouTube to promote your personal brand, whether you're trying to promote your company, it really is a great platform. And I hope that this masterclass or course has shown you that whilst it's not going to be that silver bullet, it's not going to make you millions, and it probably won't even make you famous, it is a really good platform for getting your message out there and connecting with people, because at the end of the day, video is a huge trend. And even if you don't end up having success as a YouTuber, things that I've been able to do since becoming a YouTuber have even been things like charging clients for editing videos and doing courses and talks. So just be open-minded when you go into it and think that there's going to be a lot of benefits. You might not know what those are up front, but it really is a worthwhile hobby to pursue. So without any further ado, I'm going to bid you guys farewell and just say I'm wishing you all the best. And please do make sure to like me on Skillshare so that you know when my next course comes out. Cannot wait to see you guys for our next course so that we can continue to do digital better.